by police. Until we deal with the trauma in our communities, until we stop being cute about dancing around what the problem is, till we start talking about mental health, substance abuse, and trauma induced by being incarcerated and those people being locked up and their families being splintered, we're going to continue to have the problem. I am frustrated as hell to sit in here and look cute. You know, I like going places looking cute. But I'm frustrated as hell sitting here seeing us skirt around the issue. We have a population of traumatized young and old people. And until we bring that to the mayor, tell her we don't give a damn about that streetcar that is still not riding with any passengers, that you're spending $250,000 a month on keeping it operating, until you can open some entities where you can address this problem, we're going to have a bigger problem. Thank you.
Well, that's all right. I mean, actually, so your question was really coming off of how piggybacking off your point, which is, you know, I'm a young person here, but there's plenty of us here who were around in the 70s. And I think we all know that back in the 70s, if there was a little street fight, a little street scuffle, that's what it was. It was a fight. It was a scuffle. And the police got involved, it was still a fight. It was still a scuffle. You might get into a fight with the police. You might actually punch a police officer and they would just punch you back. They would, you know, use their batons, but you would live to see another day. You'd live to have your day in court to be charged with assault of an officer, which is what you actually did. You assaulted an officer because you got into a fight. But somewhere in the, you know, in the time between the 40 years between the 70s and 2000 teens, you just looked at a cop and now you're getting, you know, beat down, tasered, and shot. You can't even get to the point where you can even raise your hand to scratch your head at wondering how on earth are the police in front of you before you've been shot. There's, you know, a recent case, I mean, this isn't just about race here. There was a recent case where a female officer was acquitted for shooting a man that she had tased for 25 seconds on the ground and shot him twice in the back because she couldn't see his hands and she was afraid of her life. But you see on video that the man is being tased for 25 seconds straight. How could he possibly do that to anybody? But she was acquitted. And that was, you know, so my question is for, you know, more for you, Anita, no offense here, but just for people who've been there as adults between the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000 teens, on a social level. This isn't just the police. The police, I think, are a symptom, but the same thing as the street violence we're seeing is a symptom of this problem. That it used to be back in the day that, you know, your thugs, your gangsters could have a piece, but not pull it out when there was a fight. They wouldn't pull it out until they needed to. Now it goes from F you, blah blah. And what can we do? All of us here as a community organization, what can we promote? What can we bring to the mayor or bring to our community to try to address that issue and where we're seeing violence just escalate from 0 to 60 just so fast, and it's not just the police, and that's what makes you not want to bring them in. That there's already a little street scuffle. By the time you even think about calling the police, someone's already dead. And there could be nothing going on. The police get there and someone's dead. It's a whole issue that these police officers they're just happening people with the badges who are doing the same thing people without the badge are doing, which is going from 0 to gunshots. What can we do to address this issue on a social level?
Well, first of all, you have to speak. And I mean you. They are hearing from us, because they expect us to defend what is, in essence, largely the face of the problem is African American. You know, you are the, and I may be oversimplifying it, but as I know this group, you are considered the liberal thinking people in this community. You have got to speak. They expect me to speak. They expect me to speak, you know, because of the history and so forth. The mayor, in my opinion, is catering to you. I may be wrong. She is catering to you. You have got to speak maybe with us or above us, to talk about the kinds of things which your organization stands for. And I don't know what you have done in the past, but we need you now to speak on behalf of enlighten even the McDuffie bill or the McDuffie approach, and to say, if you're locking people up because you think this is what I want, you're wrong. You know, we want an end to violence. All of us do. She does, I do, you do. But the question of how to achieve it, we have got to say, not on the backs of the least defensive people in this community. Amen. You know, and those are the kinds. Now, what is different from, as I see it, back in the day, you and I would be together in an organization. You and I would be together. We would stop freeways, you know, black and white, young and old. We were all together, not all of us, but there was a place that we came together and we worked together on these solutions. The problem of violence and the way in which the community is reacting is just a tip of what the problem is. And so we, I say that forming and our coalition is one that we work very hard to make it a multiracial, whatever you can call it, group. Because I did not, and I talked to Dan, and Dan would say, well, I don't want to be I don't want to be the one to speak. I said, Dan, you must. Because you must join with me in an open way. Because when I come, it's just, we are the normal ones. But when you come with me, we know that there is serious, intent. So what is different is that those of us who are enlightened, if you want to call us that, or whatever, need to come together and work on the problem. The second thing is that we have to recognize that the police are a reflection of us. We can blame the police department if we want to, but the police department is doing our bid. It is people in this community, and historically, and we don't want to go all the way back to the Irish and the people, the police, but there is a feeling on the part of a lot of people that the police department is the answer. And that's one of the things that I think is different. So those would be my thoughts.
Hi, I want to touch on something that you've touched on a little bit, and I think you also spoke about earlier, that I think that is kind of the elephant in the room in general when people talk about this issue, and that there is a really huge negative stigma that gets placed on certain populations where people make it easy to dismiss their concerns, to dismiss how they're feeling because, oh, it's just that group. And I feel like, as someone who grew up, actually, I went to school in a very predominantly African-American middle school, high school, and then when I left it, and I started hearing things, I'd be like, did you actually just say that? It just boggled my mind, the things that people would say and not even realize the context and the underlying thought process that they were using, and how that could really be construed as racist and things like that. And I really feel like, as a community, if we really want lawmakers and police and everybody to take this issue seriously, we really need to address this negative stigma that allows society as a whole to dismiss this issue as none other than, oh, that's just them. That's just this group of people, they're just like that, they're violent. I feel like there's a lot of that negative stigma that really, really needs to be addressed, and in order for us to really make progress.
Thank you so much, by the way. I have a question, it's a two-pronged question. I'm an urban planner, so to piggyback on the public health question and also on public safety, I wonder if you've heard from any of the other agencies in the district. So DC Office of Planning, for example, as an urban planner, one of the issues that I see is this idea of public right-of-way. And public safety. There's a connection between that. So recently we have all heard about this, really good police person, right? That danced with an amazing teenager, and the entire country praised the police officer for dancing with them. My praise was for the teenager, because the teenager was actually being profiled for just being and hanging out with her friends on the street. As an urban planner, public right-of-way is valuable. The city has been giving away our public right-of-way. We've been giving away our public land. And that has an effect on how newcomers start thinking of the police as their personal security, right? So they start thinking of, well, if we don't like this African American being right next to me, I'm gonna call the cops and I'm gonna say, I don't want them here. So then the police comes and they're gonna beat them up for them to not be there. When all along, it's the public right of way for them to be there. So this is a DC Office of Planning issue. This is an issue of MPED. This is an issue of economic development. So these are issues that I've been thinking about it all along, and this is one of the things I want to bring up, because right now the deputy mayor for public safety is an acting deputy mayor, if I'm not mistaken. We really don't have, and that was my question to you guys, so it's a two-pronged question, right? Number one, what about the other agencies? And two, what about the public safety? Like, is the mayor actually putting in an actual agency that's strong with a thorough, mayor, deputy mayor right now, not an acting deputy mayor, who is really doing too many things at once and he really doesn't care. Honestly, at the end of the day, when we've talked to him, I did not see him really saying, this is what I'm gonna do, because this legislature is really not strong.
Well, I don't know whether I would wholeheartedly agree about care. I've long since stopped trying to get into people's, the very fact that, your public servant would give me some indication of the, care factor. But that and a cup of tea will not get you a solution to the problem. When you're dealing with a hierarchy, in this administration, and I gather in all administrations, and the ones that I have been in, the executive officer sets the pace. You must follow it. You could have all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of principles, but you must follow the lead of the executive. The one thing that I feel very disappointed, I don't know who in the world is advising this administration. I really don't, because they are making too many false moves and then have to retreat from those moves. I don't know what, so the one thing that we need to do is to get into the government some people who can advise clearly